Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Winner Circle Sports Betting Podcast, your Football Friday live edition with Marc Lawrence taking center stage with me. I'm Sean Higgs, in case you did not know by watching the channel every day, as you should. Listen, before we get into some college and NFL, and maybe we'll touch on some poker and some NBA, you never know. We'll hit that like button, like, share, subscribe, notification bell on so you know each and every day we come at you here with free pick videos. Monday to Sunday, every single day. The Friday show is live, but we got free picks every other day. We got the Vegas legend, Chip Chirimbus, and his crew on the weekends, and me and a gaggle of other handicappers with free picks throughout the week. Again, free picks are the free picks. Our best bets, our top plays are available at our sponsor, gamblersworld.net. Head on over to gamblersworld.net for the proverbial money where your mouth are place. That's where we're going to make our money. Right? That's how we do our thing. We want the free plays to win, and sometimes you get one. Last week, Mark was like, hey, I'm not telling you I took Arizona State to win and to win outright, but you better do it. And it came through in shiny fashion. 5-1 last week with the college football picks here. Not too bad. 3-1 NFL, so we're going to build on that. A lot of work. That's a 8-2. That's 80%, Mark. We got our work cut out for us this week here to find some picks for everybody in the show. It's the pressure's on.
Pressure's on, Sean, a little bit here. And, I think argumentatively, for all intents and purposes, it's not the deepest card that we've seen in the college football, especially in the National Football League. But you know something? You deal with what's in front of you, and you make the best of what you do. You deal with the card you're dealt. And I've dug down deep into this card, and hopefully we can pass along some words of wisdom this week.
There you go. From the master himself, we're going to try to find you some winners, everybody. Let's the old elephant in the room. Here comes the poker stuff. Let's be honest. Whatever. Who cares? That NBA players. I mean, this is known stuff. I was telling my son, he's like, "Oh, did you see that?" I'm like, I said, Dan, guys have been playing cards for money for years, right? So they're in a high stakes game. That is. It's not fixing games. He's that stuff like that. The player pop crap. Mark, how hard is it to get down thousands of dollars on player props? Like, there's got to be more to the story than this. I was telling him, I said, I go to a PPH, it's $100 limit. I mean, FanDuel, these places give out $200-$300. How are you getting down tens of thousands of dollars on a player prop? Where does that happen?
Well, what they're not doing is, my first thought was Billy Walters is involved here. With his cast of characters and his beards, getting all these plays in, rounding up all he can. But he's not really a props guy. He's strictly a flats guy. So I don't think it's involved there. And you bring out a great point, Sean. Where did the people find these outs to get all this money down on these props? And if it's with legal sports books, it's what they can maybe at least have a true accounting for. But if it's with illegal sports books, bookmakers street on the corner, the guy driving the 87 Cadillac, you don't know, exactly how much money's involved in situations like this. So it's really, really, to me, deplorable to read this stuff. I hated it when Tim Donaghy got into the mess with the basketball refs and then the NBA before. And, I got a little bit of an insight with the NBA. Back in the days when COVID hit and everything, I was trying to help them out with some COVID stuff. And, got to speaking with some vice presidents there, and I do know they have an interest in maintaining as much above the board as they can when it comes to basketball. Now, it doesn't appear that way with Adam Silver and allowing props. That's the first place they got to shut the spigot off. Is they got to pull props out of sports books, player props, if they want to even have any thought of cleaning this stuff up. I can't believe that even the people that don't even know about betting would say to me, how could you have a prop on whether he's going to throw a ball or a strike? I mean, if he's the pitcher and he wants to one-hop the ball into home plate, nobody's going to look at things like that. But that's my case in point. They have to, if they want to clean this up, they have to start with the player props.
I remember when I think one of the senators are saying was, what if somebody bets $1 million on a pitch and the guy throws? I'm thinking to myself, where the hell is that prop? Like, and then all of a sudden they want to blame these guys on the Cleveland Indians for like throwing first pitches in like the third inning for bouncing balls and strikes. I'm like, it's it's weird because will they get rid of the player props? I mean, that is where the problems are with the players, right? Even forget about Rozier stuff, but even with that Porter and the other guy, how like everybody says, the players, no way they throw the games, right? They're making too much money, but it's their friends to say, all right, you want to, who cares to them? Like for Rozier to sit out a game, it's not affecting things, right? He's on the injury list. He may or may not play. He comes in, he plays for 10 minutes, he's out. Like that is not throwing a game. That is obviously playing with his stupid props, but him going out is not affect. Like we've seen plenty of guys lose a player and win games across boards and sports. I don't think that's winning a game, right? I don't think that's fixing a game. The guy betting because he knows LaFloppy's sitting out. Let's be honest, Mark. I think the casual bettor knows that in a back-to-back spot with LeBron James, the big vag that he is. I mean, this guy sits out every back-to-back game. It's not shocking that he wasn't going to play the next game. Are you going to be shocked if Steph Curry sits out today against Portland? Absolutely not. That is not inside information. That's kind of common sense betting that players are not going to play back-to-back games. You know, I mean, that kind of stuff. All right, maybe you get in a little ahead of time. But you know what we call that? That's called kind of reading the tea leaves. Isn't that how we call it? Like, I don't think the guy's playing today. That's not – I guess it's inside information because it's not formal. But this is also a league in the NBA where they have guys sit out 10 minutes before the game. You don't know who's playing.
Well, what bothers me here, Sean, is Rozier says – passes this information along that I'm only going to play like 8 minutes or so, and then I'm going to feign out of the game with an injury. Well, who is Rozier to move a total on a game because he's not going to be playing minutes? Maybe if it's Seth Curry, maybe if it's
exactly,
some major superstar, okay, but not Rozier. Are you kidding me? Rozier? What does he mean to the game? He doesn't mean squat to the game. It's a team game to begin with, and he's only just a small portion of that thing there. I think personally, that's overrated or overblown. The fact that him going to sit out in a game was information that was passed along and it mushroomed and it became a $250,000 hit or a fix per se. I think it's ludicrous personally. I think there's more to the story here. And I think it's eventually just the tip of the iceberg is coming out here. And we're going to learn a whole lot more about how the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, and legalized sports books are ruining the sport, and it's coming out here right now, right in front of our eyes, and things are going to have to change.
It's bizarre that the Ohtani guy, because Ohtani knew nothing about it apparently. They wrapped that case up in freaking 3 weeks. This thing has been going on for a couple years, but yet Ohtani didn't bet on baseball. We know this in 2 weeks. Like no, it's not him. Yeah, sure. They got a big problem. Because after Ohtani, you know damn well he was doing the betting. They can say whatever they want. Oh, this or that. How the heck is it 3 months after the fact, you got a couple guys on the Indian or the Guardians get wrapped up in throwing first pitches or whatever?
Let me ask you this question, Sean. We know that in the stock market, it's illegal for insider trading to happen. If it happens, you can get imprisoned, okay? But in sports, all it means is, we've got an edge, okay? We can go out and bet it. So what's the difference between something, an insider trader happening in the stock market world and player props where there's an edge in that? Why is it allowed in sports and it's not in the stock market?
Well, technically it is allowed in the stock market when you think about it, because when you're a U.S. sitting senator on a board and they say, you know what? AT&T is going to join with Verizon, and they're going to make, right, or Ma Bell or whatever, and 6 months ahead of time, right? I mean, let's be honest. These senators, these people, you work at a law firm that is working with some other company X, and there's some kind of merger going on in the company. Is that inside information? Because I know, I don't know. No, it's just my job. It's not really inside information. It's talked about. It might happen. I'm just moving ahead of time.
Yeah, well, I know that I don't want to cast into politics here. I don't want to veer too far off the subject.
Just going on, these people these people vote on if certain companies can merge in different things, and they know about defense contracts and stuff like that, and they sit on a spot where you're years ahead of time knowing that something's going to come down for $1 billion contract for a business.
Yeah, but it doesn't just stop at congressmen or senators. It goes
Oh
all
no, it
the
goes
way
right
to the
down.
top. All the way to the top. Exactly right.
Oh yeah. But like I'm saying, it's starting in wherever it is in that boardroom with 30 people.
Yep.
And they come out and they make their call because their little assistants are like, oh, look at this. I'm gonna get involved in this with my measly $1,500 that I got, and then that 1,500 turns into 15,000. It turns into 150 to $1 million. I mean, it's trickling down. Why wouldn't you say, hey, you know what? LeBron ain't playing today, right? You're in the locker room. These guys, this is just like these pitchers or whoever. They're not handing out 10 grand to their boys, but you know what? Hey, I know this is going to happen if you want to throw something on it. My question is, how the hell are we getting down that amount of money? Where's that happening?
Yeah,
my PPA lost me $100, $100 on player props.
Well, again, is it real legal sportsbook money, or is it the bookmaker down the street money? We don't know. We're not sure. The Pete Rose betting stuff, how much money, how many books, we don't know because they were all illegal books. So. We really don't know the scheme or the story of it all, but I want to throw this out there. And I know I've said this before, but it bears repeating now because of what's going on here. But a good friend of mine, Craig Carton, who's a very popular sportscaster, was indicted for gambling and found guilty and went to prison and served time and did his time and got out. Then he was immediately hired by FanDuel as a representative to represent FanDuel. And his purpose was to pass the word or spread the word that gambling can become addictive. And I'm real good friends with Craig. I know him from his days in Cleveland and where he first started out and everything. So I approached him. I said, hey, Craig, let's do this. Why don't you talk to your team there and see if we don't put together, let's educate the bettor. Let's tell him the do's and the don'ts of what he's doing and give him a chance to win at this stuff. And he ran it up the flagpole to FanDuel, and their answer back to him was, why would we want to educate our bettors? We're just cutting into our profits. That's the mentality of the sports books. You're not going to get any help or anything out of the sports book to help this situation. All they want to do is just find ways to continue to keep winning and making money and putting people to bed and put RIP signs over them. So we're not going to get any help from the sports books here that way. This is going to have to be legislated.
And that's, well, we'll get to what I'll say in a second there. The books where, again, we're old guys. Bad beat refunds, get the hell out of here. Pay. You lost, you pay. But to them, it's like, all right, we'll give them back their $10 player prop or $50 because they're not. These people are betting for fun. They're not betting like we bet, So it's
right.
It's different. So for them to give them back their peanuts basically for that company, because that's what it is when you lump that all together. Who's begging for that? That's like here's your $50 back because we know you're going to lose that 50, and then another 50 after that, and 100 after that. Like, we look at that as, what are you doing? But these places, they embrace that because you're going to lose long-term on those parlays and bets. And then all of a sudden somebody comes along and starts winning. It's like, oh, no, we got to shut you down here. You're out of here. Some of their stuff, you talk about the legislation. Excuse me one second, I got a cough. I know you've seen these things pop up on Twitter, whether from Captain Jack or the I forgot who else. Maybe it was Richard Schultz who puts up these things. The fine print of like DraftKings and FanDuel's talking about we can just remove you from this and not pay you, like basically just the whole limiting and removing of winning bettors.
Yep.
Like they could just and that's a violation. Like they don't have to pay you. Like they write that stuff where they could be like, no, it says it right here. If you're doing something wrong. If we put a 3 and you take 3, but it goes down to a 1, you're in the wrong. You're involved in something shady. We're not paying, and then they'd win in a courtroom.
Yeah, and they would win in the courtroom, right? Exactly.
Like that's, and then it gets back to legislation. Let's be honest, bro. Government, you need less is more. Like there's things, yeah, we need clean water and normal kind of stuff. You let them come in, you know what they're going to do. It's going to be, you'll be Chicago with 50 cents taxes on every bet or whatever the hell they're doing over there. Like,
Yep.
Again, I like the old school book way was nice. You had your rules. That's it. You don't want to screw around with them. The rules are the rules. You know, that's the way they were, Mark, right? You had your local cat. That's the way it was. You're paying on Tuesday, Wednesday, you're getting paid on a Friday, Thursday, Friday. There you go. I'll see you then, fella. Where are we meeting? I'll see you at the bar. We'll come in, get something to eat while you're here, drop it off the envelope. Like, they want to ban the player props. Like, that's the axe they want to drop.
Well, I think, Sean, that's where they're going to have to, at least if they want to take a stance and say, "Hey, we're interested in stopping this stuff and not allowing it to happen." You're going to have to see FanDuel and DraftKings and MGM and Caesars and all them drop player props, and not be allowed to wager on players when it comes to props because of their performance in the game. It's sad, but I think it's
Adam Silver gets up there. They're adamant. Same with freaking Goodall about betting, and now you got freaking sports books on their uniforms. They're in every sports arena. It's insane. And these guys, I get everyone's help a friend. Why wouldn't you? Right? It's easier to do that than handing them a $20,000 in cash and saying, "There you go, fella. You want to do that, do that." It's not hurting anybody, right? It's kind of like the Moon Blue Chips. Who cares if we if I get 6 rebounds instead of 7? We're up 17. It doesn't make a difference,
right?
But I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Again, it's here comes the axe to get rid of something you need a scalpel for, and but like you said, there's got to be more to it than what's been released. I mean, there has to be some more coming.
I think personally, if you asked me, if we're sitting at a bar and I'm drinking my club soda and you're drinking your favorite drink, my conversation to you would be a lot of what we saw was a front or a show or a stand for the FBI to go out and put themselves in the face of the public, and the public would say, "Oh, gambling and all this. Oh, they can't allow that. And good job by the FBI and good job." I think it was all a political ploy. Personally, okay. I mean, I know it wasn't just a political ploy because this stuff occurred and there was money that did change hands. But the manner in which they presented it, you'd have thought somebody passed away and they were honoring that particular person for the 2 days of coverage that it got. There's no other gambling probe or incident that I'm aware of that got so much ink or publicity as this is getting right now.
And maybe the NBA said it was back in January, or when did it come out? In March with Rozier? They said, it's not a big deal. There's nothing here. But funny how the guy never played again this season either.
No, because they knew there was something there, right?
Well, yeah. Well, obviously the FBI. I mean, they have retired. Like all these sports have retired FBI guys and cops and stuff running there. So they had to know there was an investigation going on already, because this is going on for what, 3 years? The investigation, they said.
Yep, exactly.
So the fact they could say, "Oh, it's nothing." Well, you didn't allow that. Whatever. He was hurt. Well, he was hurt. He didn't play the rest of the season. They knew this was going to come down eventually. I mean, they had to have.
Well, what do you say we get into some games here? I know
it's just weird. We look at it like, because everybody comes in, "Oh, it's rigged, it's fixed." Like, if you think that's the case, then don't freaking bet it. Like, This is these are player prop crap that anybody could kind of manipulate a little bit. But if you think everything
the race is fixed, don't bet it. That's a real good analogy.
I mean, like, really, it's fixed. Why are you betting it then?
Right.
Why are you betting it if you think that's the case? Every time you lose, it's fixed. Okay. Well, you know what? Here's some advice. Be on the fixed side. Be a winner. Every game I win's fixed. Get the hell out of here.
Try that.
Come on. You're always gonna have some people trying to take advantage of a situation. That's life. Sure. Welcome to the real world, children. You're welcome to the world of sports betting. Somebody's trying to take advantage of you. I guess you're over 18 now. You're in the real world. People try to take advantage of somebody. It's not just on the playground.
Right.
Let's get to it. Mars in the house. 17-12. Mark betting against the Eagles. You had the Eagles. You had Minnesota, or no? Who did the Eagles play last week? Minnesota? No. You didn't have Minnesota last week, did you?
Did I have Minnesota last? Well, I know I faded the Eagles. Okay. Because they're on my perpetual fade list until they can get things right and play like a football team.
Right. I was just saying because I remember I said I liked Philly last week. I thought this was, and we disagreed on because I was like, you know what, they need to show out after that embarrassing loss on Thursday night. But all right, hey, listen, can't listen. 17, we're not going to be on every single game you like. Great call by Mark here, Arizona State. Yes, we said that. I said that at the beginning. That was a great one. Good spot. Hopefully we got another gem today. Todd says go Blue Jays today for some MLB World Series Game 1. I took the Dodgers on the run line. I'll be Dodgers run line every game in the series. I think they went in like 5 or 6. I think I'll be all right.
You're going to try to overcome that trend that hasn't lost in the World Series since they changed the division format.
If they lose, it's going to be a pretty big upset, I think. I know the odds aren't all that crazy, but it'd still be, for me, I don't want to say a monumental upset, but the fact that the Dodgers, again, projected to win 104, 105 games, they didn't sniff that because of the way their injuries were this year. But if you could tell me they're coming here with their bullpen and starting pitchers intact with rest against the Blue Jay team who's got a major flaw with a bullpen, and the Blue Jays are going to win the series 4-2 or 4-3, I will be shocked. But I'll say, good job. And you know what I'll say after that, Mark? Who cares, bro? I'm betting college basketball and football right now. So
well, they'll be the first team to not win the World Series that went and won a Game 7 in the League Championship Series since they changed that format. That 4 teams have done it, and all 4 won the World Series. So that's what the role Toronto will be in this particular series against the Dodgers. We'll see whether that momentum carries forward or not.
It should be interesting. I'm a baseball guy. I like baseball. I like betting because it's a big plus money sport. If you're, you take those dogs of football and you apply it to baseball markets. Lovely stuff. Here we go. Niners got them plus 1.5 here. Mar says against Houston, and this is a game I got. And I saw Houston's going to be without another wide receiver again today. How are they favored in this, Mark? Why is Houston favored here? They look like trash on Monday night. They look terrible offensively.
That's what I asked myself. You got a losing team that's laying points to a winning team with a better defense and all the pedigree. It's just a little bit of a scratch of the head for me. I don't know if they're betting on Houston to be on the come in this football game or Frisco to come back because of the injuries, but it appears to me on the surface that the wrong team is favored here. I like San Francisco in the game.
I took Frisco last week. I like Mac Jones. I think he got a raw deal in New England. I thought Jacksonville would be a little spot. Maybe he could, fight a little bit. But Lawrence had a huge contract, and let's be honest, that they were going to swallow that to move on. And on this team here, you have talent around. I mean, CMC's healthy. You're fine. I know the receivers are banged up, but this is a solid team with a solid coach. And the Texans, to me, you put up a bunch of points on a depleted Ravens squad. You beat the Titans. Other than that, what offense have you shown? Your offensive line is still a hot mess. And you're on a short week to boot. You didn't score until there was like a minute left in the game to make that kind of semi-respectable.
Yeah, they've never been any good on a short week anyway, Sean. 1-6 to the number after coming off a Monday night game, Houston. I don't know what the hurry or the favor or the love with Houston is in this football game. Could be wrong. The Niners, if the playoffs started this weekend, they would be the number 2 seed in the playoffs. Houston would be the number 10 seed and outside looking in the AFC side of things. So it just looks to me that like you put all those numbers together and you're waiting to see this line, and all of a sudden they put the plus in front of the wrong team.
This is kind of like on Thursday night, like the game opened, it was Chargers minus 2.5, and you're thinking, why the heck? They're not even like a field goal better for the old home field. I don't know if Houston's better by a field goal at the home field. I guess you put the home team as a small one, you put them at 1.5, and it is what it is. I sort of understand it, but whatever. There's no way you could talk me into Houston money. The only way I'm getting Houston here is if they were like +3 home dog. Then I'd be interested. I'm like, all right, I can take a field goal at home with them here at +3. You know what? We're going to make the San Fran a pick here, by the way.
Good.
Plus,
I like that.
There's a 2.5 out here at FanDuel, by the way.
Good.
That's Tom, here we go. Another Arizona State guy. Very happy. Yeah, Arizona State backers. If you found the show last week, we had a good one. Thoughts on landing with the Eagles. Here we go. So your Eagles, not a fan. I had the Eagles last week, Mark, and we were just talking about last week's game. They had the extra rest off the embarrassing national TV loss. You had to win. I don't think they looked all that impressive. I mean, they got a pick six to really be the difference maker in that game. And then you see how bad the Vikings look this week on a short week. Again, they were missing some guys that played on Sunday as well, though. This, to me, though, I want to take the Eagles because you were embarrassed by this team on Thursday Night Football in front of everybody. And honestly, I think you're a better team anyway. I think the Giants have some offensive line problems, and their quarterback's running for his life, and it looks exciting. It looks good. A lot of it's like I'm a chicken without a head. I just got to escape here and try to make something happen. 7.5.
You know, I look at this game, and it's going to get me hard for me to get to the Philadelphia Eagles until they finally play a complete football game. They're not, right. And they're being priced like they are. I mean, you're talking 7 points in a division game, and I realize this is a 2-week turnaround for revenge for the Eagles. But you're still talking about an Eagle football team that is the only team in the league that has not outyarded anybody yet this year. Only team. And you're going to get some New York Giants situation here. The Giants play their better football on the road than they do at home. And I realize that the revenge factor is here for Philadelphia, but they are what I call leaking oil, the Eagles. Leaking oil is a favorite who's lost the yards 3 games in a row or more. Yep. Well, they're more like the Exxon Valdez right now, the Philadelphia Eagles. And I don't want it to be slipping and sliding in the oil that they're spewing about right now. If I had to play this game, I think Philadelphia wins, but I would bet the Giants to cover.
7.5, by the way, for that
big number.
Yeah, I see my 7.5s and 3.5s, and we've had discussion before. I want to lay with the faves in those spots because those little half points. I think people are like, "Oh, I'll win with that hook," and I'm thinking, "What are you thinking? It's going to be 7.5?" I'm thinking this game's going to be 14.5. Like I just think it's the opposite. But you're right again and again. What are we hoping on? I'm hoping that Philly plays a good game on basically Halloween, right? This is October 26th. They have yet to play a good game.
Yeah, and we're going to maybe forget that when the playoffs come, and they're the number 2 seed in the NFC, something to that effect, and it'll be all the talk about them. Just like Kansas City, nobody wanted to touch them a month ago. Now they're the favorite to win the Super Bowl. It's all for what you've done for me lately here. So we need to have some latelys show up for Philadelphia here sooner than later. And until they do, I cannot make a case for backing them.
I took a Dallas to win this division, honestly. And I thought Dallas was going to be like an under team this year. I was not a fan of their offensive line, their running backs, the defense, the coach. But you know what? These teams on defense, bro, there's not a lot of good defensive teams. And Dallas is the team that could outscore you. I think it's worth.
I was with you. I thought Dallas would win this division too. Then they made that horrible trade, just put a knife right through the heart of the defense with Micah Parsons in that trade, and they just ripped that team apart. And they were stunned. They played just like that. Now they're coming back a little bit here right now, but and I think Denver can be exposed. They show up in the right situations. I don't know if this is a good situation for Denver to show up in. They play pretty well at home off a home game before in the past. But I'm with you. I thought Dallas was going to be good, but I cannot back the worst defense in the National Football League in a game against a team that has a good defense. And that's what this matchup is all about, a good defense against a bad defense. I have to either back the good defense or pass the game, and because they're laying points, I'm going to pass the game.
And let's be honest here. This was 5.5 on Monday. It's 3.5 right now.
Yeah, there you go.
People bought in on Dallas. Like, you know what? I'll take a shot at him at 5.5. Why wouldn't you? 5.5. I'm going to take a shot on Dallas. 3.5. 3 is even. I'd have to scratch my head a little bit, especially off the fact that how Denver won last week, scoring 30 points or whatever hell they did in the fourth quarter. That's a lot. That's a lot of what am I looking for when you're? I'm gonna say exhaustment, but that's not a word. You rally like that in the fourth quarter. You're gonna. What do you got left in the tank for next week's game versus a team that's gonna come in here and throw it all over the joint?
Yeah, it's sort of like winning a game you weren't supposed to. And then the next week, maybe do you go out with as much intensity as you should be preparing for? Likely not. which is maybe Dallas's advantage in this football game, and might explain why the numbers come down in this football contest.
I mean, the week before, what was it, 11-10 versus the Jets or whatever it was? What was that score? 13-11, some ridiculous.
Yeah, 13-11, right?
13, and last week was 33-32.
Yep.
Like, talk about two totally extremes. How we scored more points in 10 minutes of the fourth quarter than we did in the entire game against the Jets.
Well, what they scored more in the fourth quarter is they did the entire week against the Jets in the first 3 quarters of last week's game. So, go figure that out. That was unbelievable. That's going to be one of the biggest stories we'll talk about this year. 33-0 in the fourth quarter. Give me a break.
Northwestern 7.5. Let's shift gears here. College football. The Wildcats, a little doggy here to Nebraska. I faded them last week. I took Purdue because Northwestern off a big win. I said, you know what? It was one of those kind of spots you just kind of play, right? We play games. It's not one game. It's a season long of betting games. I thought that was a spot to fade Northwestern. I don't know here at 7.5. I want to take the dog. I'm not a Nebraska guy. This team, I had them. Of course, I have them week 1, and they can't cover it ever Cincy, and Cincy's been a great team since then. I don't know if I want to lay with Nebraska. Where's their coach's head? Right? Yeah. I had Minnesota last week. He's ready to go. He's ready to pack up and go to Penn State.
Yeah, he might well do that. He just might well do that. And he's making a case for himself with Nebraska this year. They kind of made a U-turn. But look at the standings where Northwestern is. They've quietly played themselves right into the Big Ten race. And, they may well be in the championship game if they continue to keep playing the way they're playing right now. I can't deny a team that's playing some pretty good football here right now. I got to stay home with them and take the points. I know it's not a lot, but Nebraska, they've in the top 25, and then they fumbled against Minnesota. And I think this Nebraska football team, you never know what you're going to get. It's this box of chocolates type team here. And yep. I think it could be a bad piece of chocolate this week against Northwestern. I think the take is on Northwestern here.
It's funny because you got Northwestern is tied for basically second place, right? Because they're 3-1 along with a bunch of other teams.
The amount of losses, right?
I mean, like crazy. They winnable games. I mean, USC, that team to me, I give her. I mean, there'll be a dog at USC, but that doesn't mean anything to me. Michigan at home, they're going to be a dog. They could be in upset mode there. And then they got Minnesota at home, who they could beat. They beat last year. Well, imagine with all that's going on in football this year, right? You got Penn State looks terrible. Clemson was bad. Texas. And then you're going to have like Northwestern come out of the blue to be like this year's Indiana.
Well, it's all defense for Northwestern. You know that this year. They're at 10.5 points. They're giving up a game. Less than 300 yards a game. Is playing some really good football. Coming off 4 wins in a row, the last a shutout win. If it wasn't Northwestern we're talking about, and I was describing a team, you'd say, well, give me that team as a dog. Well, exactly. Why not let it be Northwestern here? That's who they are. Right.
That's exactly it. We got another one here for Mar. Virginia laying 10.5. North Carolina. Oh, man, I don't know if North Carolina was right in it last week. Are they going to show up here? Again, Virginia started out really hot, right? Dropping 40 spots all over the joint. I don't know if I want to lay 10 with them here, though.
Well, here's the thing to Virginia. I don't think they're getting a lot of love, and I think it's a little bit of a mistake. They may sense that in this football game, you're not beating much in North Carolina here. It's probably going to be a one and done for Bill Belichick. They'll
you think?
They'll end up, finding some divorce settlement here, that they'll both agree upon, and Bill will walk away with $10 million and say, "Hey, it was nice visiting you guys, and I tried, but it didn't work." But this is a Virginia football team here that you go look and break their stats down here. They're winning the games by an average of 110 yards a game. Virginia is. That's a pretty healthy number for a football team that nobody knows anything about. I'm not keen about laying a double digit on the road for sure in a conference game. I won't do it, but I can understand why the number is there, largely because of their body of work.
I mean, Carolina's finally played a good game. almost upset, fumble at the goal line. Again, another fumble in the end zone. These teams. Oof. I would lean the dog there, but again, I don't have this one, Mar. It didn't make my card. Todd's ready to go. Welcome, Todd. Marshall's thoughts on laying with the Broncos. Here we go. Back to Denver. We just talked about this game. We're just talking about Dallas. We went to the Eagles to the Cowboys here. So you got our thoughts on this game. I can't add anything else on that one. I don't know if put anything on that game there. Let's keep it with some college footies. Oklahoma Ole Miss, pretty big matchup. I saw a 3.5. Went to 4, 4.5, 5s now. Lane Kiffin, here's another guy. Is he packing his bags, ready to go to Florida? This guy, he's ready. I mean, I don't see them following up their loss the way they lost in Georgia, right? 17 in the fourth quarter. I don't see them showing up here against Oklahoma.
I don't either. It's I think a bad spot for Ole Miss. Now, normally, being a dog lover as I am, first of all go make that case for Ole Miss, but I can't do it here. And the reason I can't do it is Oklahoma, to me, is the most under the radar good team in college football this year. And I'm calling them a real good team this football season here for reasons. Number one, every opponent they've played, they've held to a season low yardage mark, 7 for 7. There's nobody else even close to a number like that, what Oklahoma's doing here. They happen to be number 1 in yards per play allowed, number 1 in tackles for a loss, and number 1 in sacks this season here. This is a defensive monster here that's developing in Norman, Oklahoma, and people don't realize it. Now John Mateer is going to play again, maybe perhaps more healthy than he has been. I think they brought him back a little too early in that Texas football game. I think this is a bad spot for Ole Miss to happen to go into. After that tough game last week, they're going to go into a real tough spot here. I think Oklahoma Sooners, if they continue this season low yardage mark, they're going to get the win in the cover here again.
I agree. We're going to put this in the chat. I'm looking for the game on the board here. Where is this? Is this like a 3:30 game? There it is. No, high noon. This is a high noon kickoff. 5.5. It's official show pick, Mark. You want to go? Ready to go?
Yeah,
5.5?
let's go show pick Oklahoma, yes.
And I forgot to say I did the Northwestern plus 7.5 as well. So we
Good.
both like that one as well. All right, Nooners, let's roll down a little bit here. If you're sticking around watching, if you haven't already, hit that like button, notification bell, and stuff like that. You don't want to miss our live show on Fridays and, of course, our daily free pick videos. Oh, how did we forget this one? Or when I say we, I mean me because I'm scrolling the board. Missouri Vanderbilt. Here we go. I think Vandy's for real. This is a team 2 years now. Last year they were hunters. This year, even being hunted, they're still delivering the goods. Missouri off 2 tough games. I know Vandy's off a huge – is it an upset? They were favored. Yeah, it's a big win. They were favored over LSU.
Yeah, well, they tell themselves they were the underdog or it was an upset, The other team was ranked higher than they were. They're number 10 in the AP Top 25 poll, LSU was. Now, Vanderbilt takes their place, and they're the number 10 team coming in because of what happened. But I have to wonder if there's going to be a euphoric high letdown here for Vanderbilt in this football contest. And you could talk about Missouri opening up the season with 6 games in a row at home, and they put up all those good numbers against those 6 home cupcake teams. But the fact of the matter is they beat who was in front of them. And you look at the last 10 times that Missouri has taken on anybody that comes off a win and cover their previous game, Missouri is 10-0 to the spread doing just that. I'm going to get to Mizzou in this football game here. They're winning their stats by an average of 245 yards a game, Missouri is. That's a pretty comfortable number here. I think there's only 4 teams in college football that are winning stats by more than 200 yards a game, and they're the only dog in the card this week that's doing just that. So I have to at least, out of my allegiance to dogs, take this 200-yard stat team out and back Missouri in this contest.
Listen, I got no real thought on it. I don't have it as a premium, nothing on it. I'm gonna use it because it's a marquee game and people like to play them. Missouri plus the 2.5 here as a show pick for us. Another dog.
Good, I like that.
Let's see what we got. Tom says Cincinnati first half minus 2.5 and Texas team total under. All right? So is this got to be college football, right? Because Cincinnati NFL's laying a little more than that. This has to be Cincinnati College, I'm guessing. I got to go hunt it down. Where is our Big 12 brethren against Baylor? Yep, because they're laying 4 there. Okay, so Cincy Baylor. Cincy's only loss that at aforementioned Nebraska, and they threw an interception in the end zone in that game.
I'm gonna make a pretty good case for Baylor here in this football game, and it's not that I'm so much anti-Cincinnati. It's that there's a lot of hidden stuff to the Baylor Bear this football season here. And number one, they come in as one of only 2 teams in college football that returned 17 returning starters 2 years in a row, back-to-back years of 17 returning starters. Those teams do very, very well because they're very experienced. They've been around the block, especially on the road as dogs. And that's the role you find Baylor in here against Cincinnati. And Cincinnati has really struggled, if you will, in games against this sort of opposition here, 600 or less conference, so it's just 1-6 to the number here. I like in this game the Baylor Bear. It's a football team I think that's got the ability to win this game and sort of almost win out to play themselves into perhaps maybe something close to a Big 12 championship game here. I love that double 17 returning starter angle in this football game. Give me the Bears plus the points over the Bearcats.
So last year, they played 2 years ago, Baylor 32-29. So nothing really fresh. It was still 2 years ago. Back-to-back roadies, right? We got no bye weeks involved, nothing like that. Baylor as a play here. Well, it's a full 3. They are a 3-point dog here, I'm seeing, right?
Yep.
I'm just is this in rotation? I'm trying to find on the Odds Logic Live where it's at. It's like, where is this game? I just don't make it the official line here. I'm seeing 3s. Baylor 3.
I'll gladly take the 3.
There you go. Well, you see, I see the 3.5, so I'm just looking for make sure I got I want to get the best number.
Yes.
If we get 3.5, we're going to get 3.5. 4 o'clock time. There we go. All right, there we go. So
Odds Logic's not showing you any 3.5s there?
Well, I was looking. No. Actually, I could get you a 4 at Pinnacle.
Wow.
4 at Pinnacle.
Well, that normally says a lot because I think they're the most respected sports book still anywhere today. Because
everything else is 3.5. They have a 4.
And the reason they are, Sean, is because they're a real sports book. They're not they're not putting numbers out there with their odds maker hedging a game a certain price because he likes that team. No, they play real sports at Pinnacle. They put up the number that should be the number, and they live and die with it. And if people pound them on one side, they're still going to live with their number. That's what I respect about Pinnacle, and I think that's what the rest of the sharps do as well.
Yeah, but the official number is 3.5. There are 3.5s everywhere here.
Okay, so good.
3.5 would be them. Just the penny's tough to use because a lot of people don't have penny. They're going to use their.
You can't get in there, right? Exactly.
The legal spots there. So, what do you think about 4-1-1? I think 4-1-1 is a pretty good sharp joint too.
4-1-1.
Yeah.
I don't recall. I'm not. That used to be a pretty sharp book. I didn't even know they're still around. Honestly, personally.
All I know is never again with the Raiders. Gavin, the Raiders. Raiders got some problems. 95 yards last week for Las Vegas. The good news is you got a bye week right now, so you get to lick your wounds before you get Jacksonville at home next week. Who knows who'll be quarterback in that game for them?
Well, that's their problem. They don't have a leader there, and National Football League. If you don't have a leader, you're not going anywhere. That's the problem with the Raiders. I'm going to
tell you, I'm shocked they're that bad with Geno. He's a guy you thought come in as a veteran kind of presence. I know Bowers has been hurt, but you had him. You drafted a high running back. You figure you get some kind of offense going. They had one game, right? They beat New England. The Bears game, they got kicking woes. I mean, listen, when it's running bad for you in anything in life, the wheels fall off. And for the Raiders, is running as bad as it could be for the Raiders right now. I mean, they're going to trade Max Crosby to the Cowboys.
Wow. They need something to fill that hole for Micah Parsons, that's for sure.
Mar, you got our thoughts on Cincy and Baylor there. Thoughts on that with San Diego State versus Fresno tonight. That's a nice Friday night action. Or no, excuse me, that's tomorrow 3:30 action, I believe, the Fresno game. Let me pull it up here. 3:30 game. 3-point home dog. Mar, I'm looking at the homies here. Give me the home dog in this spot.
I'm with you, Sean. I know the San Diego, they're a nice defensive team, but you shouldn't be laying points like this into Fresno on the road like that. I think it's a bad number, personally.
No, I think they're pretty evenly matched. I look at the Fresno team, and again, both teams are coming off the bye week, I believe. The last time we saw Fresno, they were in Colorado State and giving up 49 points. 49 points to Colorado State, who hadn't scored that in their 3 previous games combined. Wow. So a week off, you're home. Yeah, you're a good spot. Home dog. It's making the cut. We're gonna have a bunch of games today, folks.
Who has the better record here, Sean? I know Fresno's 5-2. What's San Diego State's record?
I thought they were around the same. Give me 30 seconds to pull this up here. No, they're both 5-2.
So why is San Diego State the favorite here? I got to ask you.
San Diego's 5-1. Fresno's 5-2.
Okay.
I want to say because you give up basically 50 points to Colorado State, who has been terrible. I mean, Colorado State's been absolutely horrendous this year. I mean, you want to run a better Colorado State?
That's why they fired their coach. Exactly. Right.
I mean, so that's a bad loss. So again, who knows why they're favored? But in a conference like this, I don't think there's much separation between the two.
I don't either. Again, a 3-point home dog with a winning record, who's protected his home turf really rather well. Put me down on the Bulldog here.
Illinois for Mar against Washington. 3:30 start in Washington. 4-point doggies here, looks like, for the Illini. Yeah, there's 4s everywhere. 4s everywhere for this one.
I like Illinois real well in this game, Sean.
Do you really?
Yes, I do. I'm not keen on Washington. They've been taking steps backward since they played in the college football playoffs. Now I know they're 5-2 this year, but they beat some pretty weak football teams along the way thus far this season here, and they were spanked by good teams. Ohio State and Michigan beat them 24-6 and 24-7.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Illinois is quite to that level, but this is an Illinois football team. Remember when they played Indiana? Maybe it was 3 weeks ago or so.
Yeah. 63-10.
Yeah, both undefeated, and I used Illinois that game. I'm a huge Indiana Hoosier fan, and there's a killer stat I'll share with the listeners out here as soon as I finish up here. But I used Illinois in that game, felt really confident about it, and ended up getting red-faced embarrassed because of it. And but Illinois has sort of, they took on the chops, and they haven't said, hey, we're not raising the white flag here. We still got football in us. They got 18 starters back from last year, a pretty well-coached team by Brett Bielema coming into this football game here. I like their chances in this game here real well. I think they win this game straight up on the field here. And I'm going to fade Washington here. I think they're a phony football team, Washington. Give me the points with Illinois.
Illinois plus the 4. I took Rutgers versus Washington 2 weeks ago here. I thought, you know what? Rutgers had like a bye week. Washington was off a comeback win in Maryland. On top of that, the Ohio State game. Before that, the rivalry game with Washington State. I thought it's a great spot, right? You're going to run out of gas. You're just at that point where what else we have left? Rutgers took a little, I think 10-7 lead or something, and then it was over. And it was like 38-19. I'm like, what the heck just happened here? Rutgers couldn't get anything done. I'm hesitant because Washington, again, before that Ohio State loss, they had won 29-30 in a row here at home?
Yep. They had a I think it was a 26-game win streak when they lost to Ohio State. 20-something streak.
Something. It's pretty good. You're going to run off a couple wins like that. It wasn't just versus bottom feeders in the Pac-12 and the Big Ten. I mean, that's a lot of wins. You're only getting 6-7 home games to win. That's a few years. It's not just a one-time thing. But all right, Illinois. I'm putting it on there. I mean, you call them possible outrider. Let's so far Northwestern plus 7.5. Oklahoma minus 5.5, Mizzou plus 2.5, Baylor 3.5, San Diego State 3.5, and the Illini plus 4. We got to shift to. We got to get an NFL one here. Right now, we only have the Niners out here so far. Let's find some NFL before we wrap this puppy up. Jets Cincy's a game. I don't know if you're interested in that one. We got a backup quarterback situation there. Lines move from 2 to 6. Again, Baltimore. How about Baltimore and the Bears? Let's talk about this one here, because I can maybe I could lure you into the Bears with me on this one. With Lamar back, they weren't winning with him. I mean, since you beat Cleveland 41 or whatever, but the defense is still a problem here.
Exactly.
And I'm not a lover of the Bears, but I look at this line 6.5. All I hear is people thinking Ravens just got to win by a touchdown. Lamar's back. How don't they win this 35-20 or something? Right? It's the Bears. Give me Chicago here.
How can you knock what the Bears have done? I mean, it's 4 in a row, straight up and against the spread. Ben Johnson's making an impact on this football team, playing with a lot of confidence here, and people are waiting for Baltimore to wake up. Well, you don't bet a team because you think they're going to wake up this week. You wait till they wake up and go out with eyes open and bet them when they're showing ability to play well. Baltimore hasn't shown that. And as you mentioned here, this defense is wretched. It's not bad. It's wretched. I think there's only one defense worse in the league, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. So even if Lamar Jackson shows up here, who's going to stop the Chicago Bears on the defensive side for the Baltimore Ravens? That's the question here. I'm with you. I like the Bears in this game.
Yeah, and plus 6.5. Again, I'm not a Bears guy. I got a Bears under and I got Miami under. Only 2 totals I got this year, Mark. But you're going to give me points with a team that's I don't have to cover. And when we have underdogs, there's only 3 outcomes in a game. I got 2 of them are in my pocket, right? A win outright or a cover. So 2 out of 3 things are already working in my favor here.
Well, that's my philosophy in betting, Sean. I have it everywhere I do, and it's 3 things can happen when you bet a dog, and 2 of them are good. 3 things can happen.
Pretty good odds.
Favorite.
Pretty
2
good
are
odds
bad.
in favor.
Right. Now, which do you want, the good or the bad?
Another one in this spot I like is Cleveland and New England. Give me the Browns in this spot.
Absolutely.
They're catching a touchdown.
Absolutely.
New England's not that was their biggest win because they beat the Bills, but 3 in a row on the road. We talked about this last week. I think you kind of like the Titans. I'm like, give me New England. I thought their hiccup game would have been the Saints before, because what's his name? Vaber wants to beat his old team. This spot here looks like a kind of a flat spot. 3 on the road. You just beat your guys who fired you, and then it's like, look at this. Oh, Cleveland's in town. Oh, Cleveland's got a defense, and for whatever the hell reason, dude, they're pretty competitive. They play for the coach who's ever in there. Whatever quarterback they roll the dice with, whatever running back's back there, the team shows up. They try. You give me a touchdown here? Sign me up with a touchdown.
They got a running back, this Judkins. This kid is
good.
He's going to be the real deal, right? In fact, I remember back when he transferred, I don't know, was it to Ole Miss, I believe? And I had read a lot about him when we were putting the magazine together about how good he was. And in fact, I bet him as a future in the Heisman Trophy to win, and he didn't do anything. But when he was drafted, I can see his talent and his ability right now, and why the thought was there. They got a real legitimate threat in the backfield here right now. And Dylan Gabriel, while he's learning on the job, the kid has a lot of smarts. He can read defenses. He's got a rocket arm, and this team is. They're coming together here. Not a good football team, but they're not a football team that's raised the white flag in any shape or form. And if there is not a letdown for New England in this football game, I'll buy you a beer. Okay. They win one for the Gipper last week in Tennessee. Yes. They got up for that football game for Mike Vrabel.
Absolutely.
Right, absolutely. Now, how can he not get them not to play down to the Cleveland Browns level this week? That's my question. After
Yep.
you play a bad team after a big effort, it's almost impossible not to play down to that level here. I think the Cleveland Browns are a nice play in this game.
Yeah, I think this is like a field goal. I think this is a possible like Cleveland might win this one if they score here at the end of the game. I think
Exactly.
this is a good spot.
Yep.
We'll hit the Sunday nighter here because the Kansas City game's totally out of control. I got Kansas City minus 4.5. They're 12.5 now, so we won't talk about Monday Night Football. But Pittsburgh Green Bay is an interesting one here. How are the Packers a 3-point favorite here? How is this? This is one that shakes my head because I'm all for Pitt here. This is like a Pitt roll, right, with Tomlin. And we talked about Vrabel winning one. You don't think Aaron Rodgers wants to go in here and like just beam the ball off of Jordan Love's head? Like they drafted him, and Aaron Rodgers just wants, instead of drafting offensive help or a lineman or anything to keep the offense going, you got a Hall of Fame quarterback. No, we're going to draft your replacement. Like this dude, whatever he says, and again, his off-the-field comments are they are what they are. But on the field, talk about a chip on your shoulder guy. He went into New York with an attitude here, playing them. He's going to have it here. And the Packers defense, I don't know. It looked great versus Detroit, who they're gung-ho to play in week 1. You had a week 2 game on a short week versus Washington, who you knocked out their quarterback. You didn't have a good game. You lost to the Browns. Dallas was an insane asylum. And then you just gave up a bunch of points here to Arizona. And now here comes Pittsburgh, who is always just a winning program, right? The joke is that he's 9-8 or 8-8 every year. This coach, you're giving me at a home dog on Sunday night with the quarterback's old franchise. Get the hell out of here, man! This is Steelers all day long.
I think one of the reasons Green Bay may be favored in here is the dominance of the NFC against the AFC. It's happening again this year. It's 2 years in a row running, and in fact, on the blind. Before, as we headed into this week, the NFC is 26-12 against the AFC in head-to-head meetings. So there's a lot of support knowing that people are going to come to the NFC because they look like the superior conference. But superior conferences don't win football games. The teams do. And this Green Bay Packer football team, I think, is a tad phony. Now to the point where the odds makers have respected them enough to make them a favorite against a coach who excels in the role of a home underdog in his career. Yeah. I mean, my goodness, what's the number here? It's 32-10 straight up as a home underdog, 29-11-2 to the number. That's 5 times in a row Green Bay has lost teams of the AFC North here. This is a WTF game, wrong team, favorite game, in my eyes anyway. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers here. I know. I mean, your point is excellent about Aaron Rodgers too, by the way.
Right. I mean, he's like the old Michael Jordan. I took that personal. Like it's his old team, and he's going to hold a chip on his shoulder. This guy's going to do his thing. Let's grab a couple more here before we get out of here. Tom wants to know Kentucky +9 versus the Vols of Tennessee. Goosh. What do you think about this one? Kentucky almost pulled it out right against did they have Texas last week, right?
Kentucky, yeah, they did. Kentucky's the kind of a football team that they show up when they're not supposed to, and they disappear when they're supposed to play. Kind of makes you want to pull your hair out, but that's a Mark Stoops trait. And when he shows up when he's not supposed to, it's almost always in underdog roles that he'll be in this particular week. And I think the Vols are too much of an up and down football team this year. No consistency whatsoever about this team. I think Kentucky's a kind of a team. I mentioned this before, I think on the show a week or two back, that nobody in the SEC wants to play because they can come at you and pull the rug right out from you when you least expect it here. And I think they have the ability to do that again this week. Give me Kentucky +2.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, see, I'm going to disagree with you on this one. See, I think the fact that they played so good last week and losing, that they're not going to have a back-to-back effort like that. Like I can see Tennessee.
You think they leave that loss in the field, huh?
Yeah, I think that's, they were almost there. How much, where's this team going at 2-4? Like we're almost on top of the mountain, and all of a sudden you're there, somebody falls, the wagon falls back and runs over somebody's leg and breaks it, and you're stuck on a hill. Like, yeah, this is, I think, a total flat spot, and Tennessee off a loss comes in, and let's talk about Tennessee. You're the oil leaking guy, how'd they do stat wise last week against Alabama? I thought they did pretty good stat wise. They just didn't pull it, just didn't translate into a win for them with the stats were there.
Well, all this goes to, Sean, that my ranting and raving about Kentucky is the fact of the matter is Bob Stoops plays his best football against good football teams. Against 700 or better teams in his career, he is 34-20 against the spread. The better the opposition, the better Kentucky plays. They play down to the level of opponents and up to the level of good teams. That's sort of a little bit of what my thinking is behind Kentucky in this football game. Your point is valid. Coming close but no cigar last week could end up costing this football team, but I don't think Mark Stoops lets it happen because of the intensity that they play with against good teams.
All righty. That will not be a pick. We're definitely on opposite sides. I don't want to just throw something out there when we're disagreeing. That's not the right thing to do. Because I'd be like, well, we lost because of you.
No.
If I use my pick, or if we use your pick, we would have won.
If Tennessee wins, I'm going to be the first to congratulate you. Okay.
Like, I told you so.
Yes.
You should have used it, Sean. What are you doing? Yep. I'm putting all of our college picks in here to roll up on the screen here.
There's one game out there. Let's talk a little bit about before we put the wraps on this. A lot of people have said to me, people that really don't quite fully understand handicapping and the lines and the odds and all that stuff is what is Iowa State doing favored against undefeated BYU? And, they don't really know a lot about Iowa State. And, they also don't know the fact that undefeated BYU comes off that holy war, if you will, that football game. That was a big, big win for that football team. But you've got a football team in here in Iowa State that it really, really excels under Matt Campbell at home and in games off a loss. And he's come in here off back-to-back losses. I think Iowa State wins this football game comfortably and hands BYU their first loss of the football season here. It's a type of a team. Remember, BYU last week, they beat Utah, but they were out-yarded by 102 yards in the game.
Yep.
That's taking to the road after a win, perhaps arguably the stats say you should not have gotten, but you did anyway, so take it with you and play on. Well, I don't think if they play on and they lose the stats 100 yards in this game, it's going to happen 2 weeks in a row for BYU. I think this is a sneaky small favorite that wins and covers the number this week.
So this was like a pick 'em to start, so it's moved up a little bit to the 2.5 range.
Yes.
Here. You want to do 2.5 or you want to do it at 140?
Well, let's do this. You want to give me 140? I'll play the money line. I'm going to do a Jim Feist play here. Okay. Jim loves to play these small favorites of less than 3 on a money line at home. I'm going to attribute this to Jim Feist and we'll do a money line of minus 140 to Iowa State.
There you go. I just added it to the chat. It is in the picks here. So NFL 3-1 last week. San Fran, the Bears, the Browns, and the Steelers. College footies, 5-1, Northwestern, Oklahoma, Mizzou, Baylor, San Diego State, Illinois, and Iowa State on the money line. Gamecocks, Bama, South Carolina, Bama next week. We'll wrap these up last one with this game here. This game did not interest me. Bama's playing Bama football. They look like they're back and on their way to the semifinals. Any thoughts on this game?
Well, they are playing Bama football. That's a great point you make. And they're doing it all defensively. Their numbers are really shining here right now. But am I a little bit fearful here about South Carolina in this game? Yes, I am. Largely because of they've underachieved this year. There's a lot of talent there that hasn't really produced so far. And, if I wanted to be bold and brazen and said this week's Arizona State play is South Carolina, I could do that. I'm not going to, but I could do that. And I could probably dig deep and make a stronger case for South Carolina here. But I like Alabama football this year. I like where they're going. That slow start they got off to, Kalen DeBoer is a terrific head coach. And this football team is getting better and better each week. So with my love for South Carolina, wanting to back them the second half of the season, I'm going to use the pass card and not play this football game out of respect for what Bama's done so far since they took that loss.
I got a South Carolina under 7.5. So I'm cheering for a loss here so I can cash my ticket.
Well, yeah, I think you're probably holding a pretty good ticket there, I would think.
They got Alabama at Ole Miss, at A&M, Coastal Carolina, and Clemson at home. So
I like how you skip past Coastal Carolina.
Coastal Carolina. I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's one, but I mean the others. I'm chalking that up as a win. That'll be their fourth. I'm like, are they getting 2 wins out of Bama, Clemson at home, and Ole Miss and A&M on the road?
Yep.
I don't know about that. I think I'm all right. I don't like to count the chickens before they hatch them.
No, you could make almost a case in almost every Southeast Conference team in the remaining schedule. It's tough because they're all playing good teams. Regardless of who they're going up against, they're going to be a good team. There's not really a bad team in the Southeast Conference. Vanderbilt used to be Vanderbilt bad. They're not that anymore. So there is no weak sister in the Southeast Conference. So it means every week we're going to get some good football out of the Southeast Conference.
Although you have Kentucky, Auburn both at 0-4, Mississippi State and Arkansas are both at 0-3 in play in conference play. So does that mean they're a bad team, or does that mean you're just playing the elite squads and you're like, well, Kentucky versus Arkansas is different than Kentucky versus Georgia. Like Kentucky, Arkansas, who you got now? That's someone's going to get a win in that game. And then Arkansas has got the number 2 offense in the country.
Yep.
Right.
And Bobby Petrino running it now, and he'll like the scoreboard up. That. So that offense will only continue to keep getting better for Arkansas moving forward.
One last one from Mar. Pitt 6.5. The Pitt Panthers with their new QB, right? They got the new freshman rolling out there for Pitt.
I'm not 100% certain there, Sean.
Yeah, I thought Pitt had a new quarterback. I kind of like NC State here, believe it or not. I kind of like NC State.
Well, I would love to support you on this and say let's make NC State a play, but honestly, I have no feel to the game. You can tell I didn't go too deep into Pittsburgh this particular week. They did wake up a little when they were snoozing early on in the football season here, but I think they're getting priced accordingly because of it. And I don't know if I want to be chasing numbers that perhaps arguably Pittsburgh shouldn't be laying in situations or playing in games like this. So put a gun to my head, I'd lean that way with you as well.
3 straight covers, true freshman quarterback, 38 points a game.
Well, that's been part of what has revived this football team. There's no question.
NC State off their bye week too, so.
Yep.
That's right. Give me State there. Give me State. Tom says, great show. Thank you. Mar, you are welcome. Have a good one. Mark, we'll get out of here. We got all the picks are here up for you. San Francisco, the Bears, the Browns, the Steelers, Northwestern, Oklahoma, Mizzou, Baylor, San Diego State, Illinois, and the Iowa State Cyclones. Free picks galore. You got a lot in this show today. And again, 8-2 last week. 80% with the free picks, folks. So doing pretty well of late. Our best bets, though. Mark, tell them what you got for this weekend over at gamblersworld.net.
Yeah, I'm using a top play in the NFL this week. I got a dog that's going to win the whole game straight up in a WTF fashion. Wrong team favorite. I won't say the other word. But it's a 5-star play. I don't use a lot of them. I got a 5-star NFL game of the month. It's right up right now at gamblersworld.net, along with all of my plays for the weekend.
There you go. Go get Mark's top play. You don't want to miss out on that. And I got the plays up as well in college and NFL. Although some of my NFL games have moved. Like I was mentioning the Kansas City Chiefs, I have it 5.5 and even 4.5. Can't sell that one. That'd be easy to sell. Like, hey, here's an easy game to sell. The line is now 12, though. I can't. That would cause a problem. But
yes,
I like to get down early on stuff, Mark. So sometimes with the line moves, I can't really get a play out here for the newer clients, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So, again, all of our best bets at gamblersworld.net. All access passes work well this time of year. NBA, hockey, World Series, college football, NFL, and we're about a week away from college hoops. So check out the all access pass. That's it. Gavin saying thank you. Great show. We try, Gavin. Thanks, everybody, for watching today on a Football Friday with Marc Lawrence. I am Sean Higgs. We will see you next week. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye-bye.
You guys have a great week. Thank you.
Hey, Mark.
You see you, Sean.